Yeah, I'm finally back with another review. Sorry this one took so long, but as I predicted, schoolwork is making these things take a lot longer. But I'm here now, so let's talk about educational cartoons. For many of us, some of our earliest introductions to animation came in the form of educational programming. I still remember shows like Arthur, Magic School Bus, and Cyber Chase fondly, and watching them again now, they're for the most part as good as I remember. Whether it's intended to teach math and science or just convey a moral, a well-done educational cartoon is something that both kids and adults alike can enjoy together. Today, we're going to look at one of the more recent shows from this genre, Secret Millionaires Club. Created in 2010, Secret Millionaires Club was originally a web cartoon featuring multi-billionaire Warren Buffett as the business mentor to an optimistic group of students. Now, it doesn't have the best production values, and its comedy is rather hit or miss, but it's able to teach lessons effectively. If I had to give it a score, I'd probably give it 3 out of 4 stars. In 2011, Secret Millionaires Club began producing 22-minute-long specials for the Hub Network. The first of these was Be Cool to Your School, and it's without a doubt the most tedious thing I've reviewed thus far. So, let's get this one over with. The episode begins with a kid skateboarding in the street, and right away we can already tell that the animation quality is really bad. The character designs are uncanny, the faces are unexpressive, and all the movements are stilted and jerky. The camera turns to two girls running into each other.
Sorry. Awesome book bag. Cute, right? It was such a bargain at this amazing vintage shop in Paris.
Wow! We're 30 seconds in and already this thing looks like it was made on a $20 budget. It's generally a good idea when making a cartoon to provide some direction to the voice actors, and to make sure that the lip movements don't make the characters look like hand puppets. I might not have taken an issue with this, but the web version of the series, for the most part, doesn't have these problems. Yeah, the character designs still aren't good, but at least things move smoothly, the voice acting doesn't hurt my ears, and the lip syncing is halfway decent. So we learn that one of the girls, Lisa, is originally from Hong Kong, and the other, Elena, is interested in international affairs.
Especially to my parents, teachers, and friends. I couldn't have brought about world peace without them.
Hey, it's a pointless moment! That's always a great sign. Elena explains that their school is going on a field trip to New York, which gets Lisa excited because that's the same time as Fashion Week. After an awkward hug, they both cross the street without looking first, when a car stops 2 feet away without them noticing. I don't even know. At school, Lisa and Elena meet up with Radley and Jones.
Jones, Radley, meet Lisa. She's from Beijing.
Sweet. I hear skating at the Wang Fujing Cathedral is unreal.
Only one line and Jones's voice is already making my ears bleed. We learn through some uninteresting banter that Jones is into skateboarding and Radley is into robotics.
Forget them. Let's talk about me. No.
And Jones is an egotistical idiot. So now we get a cutaway that shows us how Jones plans to spend the field trip skateboarding, which we probably could have guessed on our own. Also, while I could at least look at Elena's pointless cutaway without my eyes melting, the animation in this pointless cutaway is literally cringe-inducing.
That would be so slick.
Yeah, if you mean sick. For someone new here, you're getting with the lingo.
If by lingo you mean 90s stereotype, then you're spot on. I understand why they're making the characters talk like this. It's an attempt to make them more relatable. However, it doesn't work when no one has talked like this in nearly 2 decades. We cut to the next scene, where we see Warren Buffett giving a back-to-school speech.
The rearview mirror is always clearer than the windshield. I always dreamed of being successful and met some amazing people along the way. Remember, see your future, be your future.
That was disjointed to the point of being completely incoherent. The principal takes the podium and announces that the school will have to be cutting some after-school programs and the New York trip due to lack of money. Wait, what?
Due to financial difficulties, there will be some changes this year. No more robotics lab. All student organizations have been cut. After-school sports, including the skateboarding squad, have been dropped. Finally, it breaks my heart to say that this year's 8th grade trip to New York has been canceled.
This guy just had Warren Buffett, a multi-billionaire philanthropist, give a lecture at his school, and yet he's somehow still short on money. Did no one think to ask Buffett if he would donate a few $1,000s out of his billions to help out? Is a school not a charitable cause? I want you guys to remember this scene because, believe it or not, this is the episode's biggest problem.
Now go there and make this the best year ever!
Can we play that clip again, please?
Now go there and make this the best year ever!
One more time?
And make this the best year ever!
Okay, if you guys didn't see it, let me play it a little bit slower. See those lines? That's the storyboard, which these professional animators left in multiple frames. Granted, this is the only time that this happens, but still, how is it possible to miss something like that? Outside, we see the main characters lamenting that everything was cancelled, since we definitely need to be reminded of something that happened less than a minute ago. Lisa says that she was looking forward to going to Fashion Week during the field trip, and we get a cutaway showing her at Fashion Week. Since we already saw that she wanted to go to Fashion Week at the beginning of the episode, this cutaway is even more pointless than the last two. Radley remembers the speech from earlier, and suggests that they raise the money for the field trip themselves. I don't know how he came to that conclusion, since what we saw of the speech was entirely incoherent. We cut to later at Elena's house, where her brothers are fighting with Fruit Pops. After a failed attempt at humor, we learn that the Fruit Pops are a healthy recipe from her grandmother. We also see that Radley has over 4,000 followers on his blog. Both of these will be important later. As they're trying to come up with ideas to raise money for the field trip, Jones decides to ditch them because apparently he's an enormous jerk. He tries to skate away, but slips on a popsicle. I will admit, this is a well-structured slapstick joke. Since Jones is being a jerk, putting him at the butt of the joke is rather satisfying, and having him fall over is almost inherently funny. However, because the impact is so poorly animated, the joke is basically missing a punchline.
I'm okay.
Yeah, but your board isn't.
Rodeo! I hate cleaning my board.
Okay, maybe this isn't 90s stereotype because I don't think there was any time ever when people used rodeo as an exclamation. Since Jones's skateboard got covered in melted popsicle, they get the idea to raise money by setting up a stand to clean other people's boards. You know, 8th grade skateboarders probably don't have enough money to pay for a huge field trip, although Warren Buffett probably does, and I hear that he's in town. After some poor attempts at humor that do nothing but prove a random side character to be a smartass, it turns out that the middle school-aged skaters don't have money to pay for getting their skateboards washed. Then, with almost no transition whatsoever, Radley comes up with an idea of his own.
Give it up for the greatest robotics inventor of this or any time.
You got it, Mr. Hawking. This bad boy's programmed to do homework, chores, play sports.
Let's start the bidding at $10 million.
Well, to the episode's credit, I can at least check seeing Stephen Hawking in an infomercial off my bucket list. But why the hell was that necessary? So Radley holds a live stream on his blog to advertise his robot. And hey, animators, if the robot's wheels are pointing right, it probably shouldn't be moving left. Anyways, the robot malfunctions and basically explodes, setting off the sprinklers in Radley's room.
Looks like someone needs help.
It's nice to see that she's just sitting there watching her friend on a live stream, and not helping him until he nearly sets his room on fire. Yeah, here's some advice for writers of children's shows. Kids will imitate the protagonist, so please don't make your main characters annoying stupid asshats! Later on, Lisa finds Radley and Elena moping about. Radley searches the internet for some place to get robot parts, but all they can find is a healthy food expo. Jones walks in eating one of the Fruit Pops from earlier, and after a joke which is completely ruined by the bad voice acting, they decide to sell the Fruit Pops at the expo. After making some more, we see them stuck in traffic on their way to the expo. Then we learn that Lisa decided to tell the whole school that they had saved the field trip.
Don't you want everyone to know you saved the field trip?
Except that they haven't saved the field trip yet! Seriously, who thought it was a good idea to have such terrible characters in an educational show? These are supposed to be role models. When they finally arrive at the expo, they discover that someone left the door to the truck open, letting all the popsicles melt. Everyone is an asshat for a bit, and then we cut to the next day. After some kids in the hallway thank them for saving the field trip, our main characters all make up. Then it's revealed that there are only 3 days left to get the money for the field trip.
There has to be a way to come up with that money.
Not in 3 days. We could if we had help.
Yes, we need someone smart and really good with business stuff.
What about Warren Buffett?
Oh my god. They figured it out, guys! Maybe there will actually be some redeeming value in this thing. So they head down to a steakhouse and find Warren Buffett eating lunch. After a little while of nothing of substance happening, they jump out from behind a plant.
You just, dropping in?
Okay, I'll admit that was a little bit funny.
But we really need some financial advice.
And fast.
That's not what I... Okay, you know what, Radley? I don't have any financial advice, but here's a good life lesson. Stop being a blithering idiot who can't see the obvious! Ask Warren Buffett for some money. Better yet, ask that incompetent principal why he didn't do that. Figure out how the hell the school doesn't have the money to pay for extracurricular activities, but was still able to get a mega-rich investor to deliver a back-to-school speech. It's called self-advocacy, and it's what the characters should be learning in this scenario. But no, the episode wants to teach some important financial lesson. Well, that's not going to help characters who can't take the option that's literally right in front of them. So after eating lunch, Buffett helps the kids to figure out the best way to get more money. They decide to ask the skaters to help deliver the popsicles, even though those same skaters proved earlier to be massive jerks. They decide to use Radley's blog for advertising, even though he lost most of his followers earlier. And, I kid you not, since the popsicles melted earlier, they decide to sell them as fruit juice instead. You know, for a show that's trying to teach financial literacy, it doesn't exactly give very good financial advice. We get a montage of them selling juice that goes on for way too long, and it ends with the kids raising $10,000, enough to cover the field trip. So apparently, even if you have crappy advertising and crappy distribution, you can still make thousands of dollars a day from selling fruit juice, as long as you have teamwork. Now we're finally going to get to see that field trip they've been building up to. This would be interesting if we hadn't already seen exactly what our main characters were going to be doing in New York, and the rest of this thing had actually been somewhat amusing. Unless Jay-Z is going to be there, I can't see this being the slightest bit entertaining. So as the kids prepare to leave, Warren Buffett congratulates them on getting the money. He says that a friend of his in New York needs help with something, and asks the kids to give him a visit. Who is this friend of Buffett's?
Radley, Elena, Jones, Lisa. Warren has told me so much about you.
Don't tell me.
What you did for your school was wonderful. You should keep at it.
What do I even say to this? And no, having Jay-Z here doesn't make things any more interesting. He's barely on screen at all, and the entire time he sounds half asleep. So after a montage of New York, which is thankfully kept short, the kids decide to visit Warren Buffett's office. They want to form a club to use their quote-unquote business experience in helping people with money problems.
A secret club, so people don't have to feel all weird about kids helping them.
That was one of the stupidest things that I have ever heard. You know what? We're almost over. I don't think it can get any dumber than that.
Our club idea? What do you think, Mr. Buffett?
I can see it in your future.
No. No, please don't do that. Please don't do that.
The Secret Millionaires Club. The Secret Millionaires Club.
So after that torturously bad song, the episode ends with Warren Buffett telling the audience about the importance of finding a good mentor. You know, that would be a great moral, if the episode had actually managed to teach it properly. And that was Be Cool to Your School, a piece of educational entertainment that was neither entertaining nor educational. I suppose I can't fault this episode for trying, but it really should have tried harder than this. None of the assets in this episode are of acceptable quality. The animation wouldn't pass on Newgrounds, the dialogue is more annoying than a sugar-high 6-year-old, and the voice acting sounds more wooden than a log. But I could forgive all of that if the episode had just managed to teach the lesson it was trying to teach. It is impossible to teach a moral properly when the story has more holes than a piece of Swiss cheese. It doesn't matter how good the lesson is, it needs to be taught in a way that's at least semi-relatable. With such a contrived and unrealistic situation as this episode, the audience won't be able to apply anything that they're being taught. Compounding this is the fact that the lesson that the episode is trying to convey is one of the stupidest things that I've ever seen. Even a cursory look at this plot reveals it to be complete bullcrap. The financial advice given here completely ignores events within the episode, and overall prevents a skewed view of how money works. I don't have any problem with this show trying to teach financial literacy, but it needs to do it correctly. If this episode had gone a more realistic route, and actually had the characters realize just how ridiculous the situation was, then maybe the episode would have worked. The characters could have expressed their issues with the principal or Buffett, and in doing so learned a lesson about self-advocacy. With a good moral like that, the episode might have had a point. But as it stands, it's just a useless piece of garbage. Be Cool to Your School gets 1 out of 4 stars from me. If you want to teach your kids about dealing with their money, just show them the web version. Join me next time when I finally take a look at what I promised to do in my last review.